Hello, this is Kris Nelson from evolvedconsciousness.org. I'll be reading a few little notes on psychopathy and the predator-dominator system and way of life that we live in. So we have psychopaths and murder of animal life. Psychopaths can be created through conditioning them to murder non-human animals first. Psychopaths cannot be created through the act of so-called, quote, killing plants. There is a world of difference between human-animal, non-human animal identity, and animal to plant identity. Conditioning into devaluation of other non-human animals creates a disconnection to natural moral law and failure of accurately recognizing other animals' consciousness and right to freedom of movement and life, no harm and no exploitation. The next note is the Predator mind virus as a basic intro. Let's use some basic definitions to arrive at a logical conclusion. What is predation? i.e., what a predator does as part of their way of living. So predation, from the Wikipedia page, in ecology, predation is a biological interaction where a predator, an organism that is hunting, feeds on its prey, the organism that is attacked. Predators may or may not kill their prey prior to feeding on them, but the act of predation often results in the death of its prey and the eventual absorption of the prey's tissue through consumption. Other categories of consumption are herbivory, eating parts of plants, mycophagy, eating parts of fungi, and detritivory, the consumption of dead organic material, detritus. All these consumption categories fall under the rubric of consumer resource systems. So the consuming of an animal involves the death of the animal. It is a way of life that I call death dealing. Death dealing is the taking of animal life. This is predation. Consumption of plants is not predation, it is herbivory. Herbivory is not death dealing. Do you, human animal, who has no physical predatory inclination, merely a psychological infection towards predatory tendencies, want to continue to be a being who chooses to live by the predatory mind virus of domination, enslavement, and exploitation of other beings who have the same right to life and freedom that you do? Your choices and actions reflect who you are. Stop and say no to supporting, consenting, and participating in exploitation, enslavement, harm, violence, or murder. Do no harm. Live by the sacred feminine principle of truth and natural moral law. And I have another note, the predatory-dominator system. This mind virus of master-slave relationships exists in many forms and varying degrees. For example, there is the cooperative hierarchy and outright slavery, among others. The system of domination we immerse ourselves into has us develop self-loathing capacities to varying degrees. We are conditioned to envy the person who has, quote, more of the material wealth, comfort, and convenience in life. A conditioning process takes place and submerges itself into our identity construct, our ego, and ways of being, our behavior, whereby we dislike those who appear to be in elevated positions compared to us. That's why we're trying to one-up the Joneses and always get what other people have, because that's what we're always trying to climb the hierarchy and climb the success ladder of the system. In direct slavery and other covert forms of domination and fear, there is the aspect of, quote, ratting people out or turning them into the central dominators. We turn people into the dominators and turn into dominators ourselves. In outright slavery, Hitler's Germany and post 9/11 America, the fear of being harmed is the same and results in similar conditioning towards helping the masters control more people. So outright slavery, we have example of Germany and other totalitarian regimes, and even post-war, post 9/11 America, it's the same thing, the fear of being harmed. So you help the masters control more people and dominate more people. In outright slavery, some would prefer to be special slaves, house slaves, and they would enforce slavery on others. So they didn't want to be harmed, so they would take up the role of partial dominators so that they could dominate others and be less dominated. They would, quote, rat others out or enforce violations of natural law rights for the reward and privilege they gained in return. In our covert slave system of willing servitude, many people like to be masters over others. These people like trying to command others into falsity to perpetuate their current condition in order to maintain or increase their relative position in the hierarchical slave system. They also punish others with a violation of their rights for not going along with bullshit. There are those who are not in positions of power or of being rewarded by the mommy or the quote mommy or daddy central authority of control, but they look for the opportunity. So you're not in the position of being in the position of central authority and control as the quote mommy or daddy, police or military or whatever, but they look for the opportunity. The police or military are those who look for the opportunity, and other people as well. Although they're more elevated, but they strive for that opportunity because they don't want to be controlled and they want to have control over others. So it's a middle way position. People are encouraged to turn other people over to the central authority for man's phantasmic delusion of alleged, quote, crimes that have done no harm. So other people turn in other people because they have the fear of being harmed and they don't want to have harm existing in their society, but it's not harm, it's just a quote crime decided by a central authority. And you have people becoming dominators and dominating over other people's lives and dominating and controlling their lives even though they did nothing wrong. So from the movie 12 Years a Slave, you have the quote, "Where once I served, now I have others serving me." And that's the position where you, as the house slave raises up, you have less domination. So instead of only serving others, you still serve others, but now you have other people serving you. So you're climbing up the ladder. That's essentially what we have in our codependent system of predatory dominator enslavement, where we depend on economic survivability in order to survive, and we want to climb up the ladder in success so that we're not serving others as much and we have more other people serving us, and that's where the wealth and the rich come from. They climb up, and then they're not serving anyone else, and everyone else is serving them. Everyone else is doing the work for them, and they're the top dominators. Welcome to the current human condition on Earth as we have created it, a hell of the predatory mind virus of domination and slavery. Over 50 billion animals murdered each year because we want and choose to be this way in our degenerated, devolved, diseased state of consciousness, our diseased hearts and minds. For a deeper study, we can look at the words, definitions, meanings, and etymology. Predatory is plunder, goods taken by force. Pillage, from piller, to plunder, loot, ill-treat. And we have prey, earlier preheda, literally something seized before, from the Proto-Indo-European root preheda. Then we have dominator, dominate, from dominare, to rule, dominate, to govern, from dominus. We have the word domain, from Latin dominium, property, dominion, from dominus, lord, master, owner, from domus, house. We have domestic, from Proto-Indo-European domo, house, from the root dem, house, household. So you see house, household, domestic, domestic domain, dominate, dominator, master, owner, lord, lord of a house, okay? And that's also lords and house, dominators of other things. So the domestic, domain, dominate, to rule, dominate, govern, property, dominion, master, owner, house. Again, I've done work on the etymology of family and how that was created as an inclusion of slaves to make them feel good about their positions. Previous to that, the notion was more of the kind and the kin, and that was inclusive of the same rights. But the word family got changed into that over time and had a good connotation, but originally it was invented as a negative manipulation, as far as the etymology shows. As I see it anyways. It has dual aspects. Right now it only has one good aspect, your family, and it's only positive, but originally it was started off as a manipulation into accepting a negative of servitude and slavery. Dominator relates to ownership of domain. If you view yourself as owning something else, then you have dominion over it, at least in your mind. You view it as your property to do with as you wish. You can have dominion over yourself, You can rule yourself, you can rule over your personal space, the house of your vessel for consciousness, the body, or the house you have made for your habitat and survival. We human animals are delusional and apply dominion to any arbitrary domain we can conceive of, and claim it as our own to become the dominator over many things outside of ourselves, vast amounts of land, knowledge, concepts, other animals, even other human animals, etc. We are insane with desires to control and own everything. We can choose otherwise, but we have bought this way of life. We are living their mindset and helping them create their desired reality. Many enjoy its comforts and rewards, but they will fight to preserve the illusion. The only rules are the rules of natural law, natural moral law, not man's delusional, quote, law. Self-governance corresponds with the rules of natural moral law. It is not a conflict unless you go against it, in which you are actually acting against others and yourself. This is how we can identify dominators, those who view themselves as owners of other domains that are not theirs. You do not own truth, you do not own other human animals, and you do not own other non-human animals. Everyone who thinks that they have the right to do what they want to other sentient animate beings is a dominator. People who own land they do not live off are dominators of the earth. They have claimed dominion over the whole planet, and everyone else who came later has had to engage in slavery of some form in order to survive on this planet. They are even claiming dominion over the moon, Mars, and space. This is the predatory mind virus of domination and slavery in action still today. People dominate the slave system we are in, and they still live in opulent luxury and convenience, while others toil away in slave society to keep the top classes in their positions. So thank you for listening. Thank you for your time and attention. Have a nice day. Take care. Peace.